Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. Welcome to my monthly video on the best board games coming to retail. And this month, I am coming to you from this beautiful comedy condo in Calgary, Canada. I'm headlining a comedy club up here in Calgary, and then I'm going straight from this to film my first dry bar comedy special. And so sometimes we just have to do these videos wherever we are because it's either this or don't do it for the month, and I'm guessing most of you would rather have me do it regardless of where I am, so I'm filming in this most boring of walls right here in Calgary. But we do have a lot of great games, so you know that fills this place with joy, even if the walls don't at all. And so I do feel like this is it's still the post-Gen Con rush. You know, August, September, October, I feel like are the most crowded months for retail releases because everybody's trying to get them into retail stores to get ready for the holiday season. So we got a lot of games, and I can't include all of them. So if you are interested in some of the other games that are hitting retail this month that are not included in this video, you can check out my Patreon, patreon.com. / Grant's Game Rex. But for now, let's get into, just over 25 of the best games hitting retail in September. As always, I go through these in alphabetical order of publisher. So first for September, we have Junk Drawer from 25th Century Games. This is a polyomino tile-laying game with a very relatable theme. You are trying to shove as much random stuff into a junk drawer as possible, and if you can organize your junk drawer better than anybody else, you're going to win the game. So it's 1 to 4 players, plays 15 to 25 minutes, and plays as young as 8. So it's definitely a family weight polyomino game, but you will be drafting polyomino tiles, and then you have 4 sort of regions in your drawer, and you are trying to fit them in wherever you can. And if you can't fit something in, then you're not gonna win the game for sure. And so you got to place an item in each section, and each section will earn points on how well they are organized. And I know that everybody out there has a junk drawer because it is impossible not to. We shove everything in there and forget that it exists, and nobody opens that drawer ever because monsters live in there. That's what it feels like. Allplay is releasing a bunch of games this month. They're releasing Sail, which is a 2-player only trick-taking game. There are not that many 2-player trick-taking games. Most of them require a higher player count. So if you like trick-taking card games and you're looking for one for 2 players, then check out Sail. Plays in about 20 minutes. And the way it works is there is a board with a boat on it, a ship probably is more accurate. Boat feels like a little dinghy to me. Ship is like, ooh, you got sails. And so you are basically playing tricks to move the ship forward and avoid bad things and get it to the end of the boards by a certain number of rounds. And if you don't get it to this end of the board, then you're not going to win the game. I should have said, it's a cooperative game. This is a cooperative 2-player trick-taking game. And so based on the cards you play and the tricks you win and stuff, it's going to move the boat forward in different ways. And so you are trying to predict what your partner's going to play. You're going to be trying to, make sure the tricks work out in your favor. But yeah, and Allplay does a lot of these very small box games. They're literally about this big, so they're very easy to throw into a purse or a backpack, that sort of thing. So Sail is one of those. And another one in that sort of same small box line is Chomp. And this one is a dinosaur theme. I love dinosaur stuff. And you are getting cards, and cards have a lot of different things on them, a lot of different sections on them, and you are putting them down next to each other. You're covering up parts of it. You're covering up parts of multiple cards. You're placing it next to other cards. You are basically putting out these cards and creating a puzzle and scoring points in a lot of different ways. This is definitely a point salad-y type of a game, and so if you want a point salad-y game that's not, point salad. This one is a little bit more of a exciting theme, I guess, with dinosaurs. Plays 1 to 4 players in 20 minutes. And like you're gonna get points if the carnivores are next to food, and if you have nests in if you have eggs in your nests, and if the herbivores are next to plants. And so there's a lot of different ways that your dinosaurs are gonna score, but it's a puzzly little card game, and again, one of those ones that comes in a very small box. And one of the things that All Play has been doing recently is finding these small sort of hidden gem games in Asia. I think a lot of times, specifically Japan, though I'm sure they have found some in other countries as well, but then they are printing them in English for the first time. And that's a note about this video. All these releases that I'm talking about are North American releases, because that's where I live and what I'm interested in. And so these are all the games that are releasing to retail in North America. And so while some of these may have been available in Asia, they are getting printed in English for the first time. And one of those, another one that All Play is doing that sort of fits into what I'm just saying is Couture, which is all about high fashion New York City. So not a theme I've seen represented that often in games. And so, there are some, bigger high fashion games like Rococo, but this is a much smaller game. 3 to 6 players, plays in 20 minutes. And again, one of those small box games. And this one is a simultaneous auction game. And it does the bidding in a very interesting, different way. You have sets of cards out there that you can auction, that you are bidding for. One of them is New York, one's Paris, and then you have these divider cards in your hand, and basically all the cards you're putting over here on this side of your hand before the divider is going for that one section of cards, and then these ones you're bidding on this section of cards, and then these ones, and so you can rearrange your hand, you can rearrange the cards in your hand to try to maximize your bids for the different cards that you are going to get. So does, that auction in an interesting, unique, and new way. And again, looks really cool because it's got that high fashion theme. The artwork is really interesting and beautiful and unique. And so if you like that theme, check out Couture. Amigo Games is releasing Pick a Pepper. This is a 2 to 4 player game, plays in 30 minutes. And it is also a sort of a card drafting game, but it does it in 2 different rounds. Essentially, you are playing cards from your hand, and whoever plays the highest cards, everybody could play a single card, and then the single highest number would win. Or, maybe someone played a pair, and now a pair beats a single card. And so you are putting cards down to then draft cards from this lineup of cards. And those cards are all pepper cards, and they all have different point values from 1 to 13, I think. And then you're going to add those to your deck. And the card that you use to bid on it, you can either put back into your deck or you can toss it out. So there's a really interesting deck building, deck construction mechanic to the game. So that's the first phase, is that you're getting more peppers for your deck. And then in the second phase, those previously accumulated chilies can be used to turn into sauce, and turning into sauce is worth points. But if you turn those peppers into sauce, yeah, you might get a 5-point tile, but now those are out of the game. Those peppers you don't have them anymore. They got turned into sauce. You can't have peppers if you also got sauce. And so it's an interesting card game where there's multiple phases to the game, and definitely one of those ones where you're constantly thinking about what other people are going for. What I got to remember, they have 4 13s, so are they going to go for this one? That sort of thing. Yeah, it's a decently lightweight game for sure. It's 2 to 4 players, plays in 30 minutes. and is on still a strategic lightweight game, card game. Asmodee is releasing That Sound Game. This is a party game for 4 to 99 players, so I hope you have a lot of friends. I hope you have a lot of friends you can play with. This is essentially like a classic party game, like a charades or a Pictionary, think that sort of stuff, where you divide into teams, but instead, you're doing it all through sound. You have to literally keep your hands clasped behind your back, and then you have to make sounds to get your teammates to guess clues. Words come up, and those words could be, just something like blender or bulldozer, so you might be like, and you can like move around and stuff like that, but you can't say any words, and you can't do, so it's gonna get very silly, for sure. I'm sure there are ways to score, but as all of these types of games, it's more about the experience of who you're playing with than who walks away a winner. Asmodee and Space Cowboys are releasing the game SpellBook. This is a game from designer Phil Walker Harding, who is one of my favorite at games that are strategic yet still very accessible. They are games that I can play with pretty much anybody, and yet I still find them to have interesting decisions and real strategy in them. And so SpellBook is, it's a 1 to 4 player game, plays in 45 minutes, and is that sort of, light, medium weight, or maybe, high lightweight, that sort of edge, the border between light and medium weight games. And what you're doing in this is you are building some spells. Every player has spells in front of them, and you are going to be pulling these chits from the bag, and you can use those things to either feed your familiar or to put them onto spells, and those spells will get you special abilities and things like that throughout the game. It has a nice ramp up in that, like, they recommend certain spells to start, your first game, but then eventually you can be choosing your own spells and mixing it up a bunch, and different spells are going to do different things. And so like I said, you can use pre-drawn spell sets, but then soon players start drawing spells randomly, creating their own spell combinations. And so that's where a lot of the fun comes into is figuring out cool spell combos. And when you put one of those chits down on the spell, it gets you that special ability for the rest of the game. So there's an engine building aspect to it, and plays pretty quickly and looks pretty cool. Got a lot of bright colors and stuff with the various spells, and you're pulling those tokens from the bag, and that's always exciting, right? I love a good bag pulling mechanism because it's always like unknown. It's the anticipation of like, oh, am I gonna get something that I need? So it has that aspect to it as well. Asmodee and Monster Fight Club are releasing Borderlands, Mr. Torgue's Arena of Badassery. This is based on the Borderlands video game series, and so if you have played that, I'm sure this is something that you'd like, but you don't have to have played that to enjoy this game. This is, bordering on a heavier weight game, plays 1 to 4 players in 60 minutes, and it is really just a big arena battle game. I mean, this is one that big box, big miniatures, a lot of different miniatures. This one had a very large Kickstarter campaign, but now this is having its retail release. It is a cooperative combat game. So you are going to be, running a team and moving around the board and just fighting a lot of different baddies. And there's going to be tons of explosions and tons of action and various psychos in the game that you have to defeat. One of the nice things about it is you can play a one-off battle where you're just, you have an objective and you're trying to defeat certain guys, and then that's the whole game. Or you can also play it in campaign mode, where you can level up your character between games. You can get different items and special abilities and level up your character and then play through a storyline. So I like that both options are available. You're getting better weapons and skills and all of that sort of stuff. And like I said, I mean, this one is just, it's a big board, takes up a lot of table space, big cool miniatures. So if you are somebody that likes, arena combat, you probably would like Borderlands. Mr. Torgue's Arena of Badassery. I mean, that is a pretty cool name. Arena of Badassery? Oh, I guess it's not. I guess I'm being called there. This badass needs to be part of that game. That is a joke that didn't work. I am aware that not all of them hit, and sometimes you can tell it in the moment. And I was searching for something there, and it just didn't come together. So we move on. Birdwood Games, which is known for their game Dog Park, is releasing a new dog-themed game called Forever Home. In this game, you are helping dogs in need find their forever homes. So, a theme that I'm a big dog person. I love dogs very much. I will always walk a certain way in my neighborhood, even though it's a little out of the way, because there's a dog, Lucy, that I really enjoy, and we're friends, and I pet her through the fence all the time, and so I wish I could have my own dog, but I travel too much. But in Forever Home, it is a puzzly pattern building game, where there are certain cards, and to fulfill the cards, you need dogs in your grid in a certain pattern. Maybe that pattern is diagonal. Maybe that's, the same dog with something in between it, that sort of stuff. So you are matching these patterns in your grid, and then once you do that with putting your dog tiles in there's a set collection element, and then you can send some of those dogs to various forever homes. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a really good theme. Plays 1 to 5 players in 20 to 45 minutes, and is a lighter, that same sort of on the edge of light to medium weight game, I'm sure. So if you like puzzly pattern building games, or you like helping out shelter dogs, this is a good one for you to check out. Exploding Kittens is releasing the party game Without Fail. This is a big action type of game. Big challenges, big things where you have to get up and move and do things. So if you like games where, it gets the energy going, then check out Without Fail. It plays 2 to 99 players in 20 minutes. And the way it works is one person is going to get a challenge, and they don't really know what that challenge is, and then everybody else is bidding to be their teammate, and if the person can accomplish the challenge, then their teammate will also get points. And the way you figure out that someone is going to be your teammate is basically, a little bit about the challenge, everybody knows a little about it, and everybody else is going like, oh, I think you could do this. I think you could accomplish this, and make it a little bit harder. And then someone else goes, oh, I'm going to make it even harder, and I believe in you. And then someone else goes, I'm going to make it even harder, and I believe in you. And then the fourth person is like, I don't believe in you, I pass. And then this person is like, I'm going to raise it even more. And then these people are like, you're crazy, we pass. And then now only you and the person who basically made it the hardest on you are now in the round, and then you reveal the challenge and have to do that sort of thing. So the cards give you a little bit of a heads up where it'll be like, put 2 cups on the ground, and if they are 5 feet apart, that's easy. If they're 10 feet apart, that's medium. If they're 15 feet apart, it's really hard. And so only then do you reveal, you flip it over, and we've now set the cups 15 feet apart, and you have to run back and forth a certain amount of times in 30 seconds. Can you do it? And so, again, if you like big physical party games, then check out Without Fail, and I'm sure it'll get everybody laughing. Flat River Group and Synapsis Games are releasing Pyramido. This is one I made some content for a few months ago, and I really like it. If you are somebody that likes a game like King Domino, where you are putting down tiles, dominoes, and building terrain sets and scoring points for different ways and for having larger terrain sets, Pyramido is like that, but you are not just building out, you're also building up. You will end up building 4 levels of domino tiles, and so you're not just considering what areas you're building on the first level, you're considering how to create areas that then descend down multiple levels, because you can score points if the area, oh, I have all red stuff here and it goes down this whole corner and is in every level of my pyramid. And so it just makes it feel a little bit different, a little bit interesting, you know, where you're like, oh, there's this cool 3-dimensional element to Pyramido. It's one that plays in 45 minutes, 2 to 4 players, and is pretty, this is one I could play with my family and stuff like that. Like King Domino, it's a pretty accessible game, and so you know, it's it's a different drafting system than like King Domino. You're just you're drafting some tiles and then adding them down. I always want to say tiles, but really I guess they're dominoes when this sort of stuff. It's the same thing like King Domino, where both sides of it the tile have 2 different terrain types, or you know, sometimes the same on both sides of it. So if you like the idea of building terrain areas but doing it with a little bit of a 3-dimensional aspect to it, I think Pyramido is great, and one that you really can play fast. It says 45 minutes, but I feel like I've played a game of it in 30 minutes. So it's a fun, strategic, quick playing game. Flat River Group and Snapships are releasing Snapship Tactics. This is based on the toy Snapships. There is this toy that's been around for a little while, where you are basically customizing these ships by snapping different parts onto it, and you can add different weapons, and you can add different, you know, cool special abilities, and then, you know, all this sort of stuff, and then fly them around. And it was just a toy for a while, and now they've sort of built a game around those toys. And so in this, you are still, you know, it's still built around that same thing, with you are sort of creating customized ships. Now, the game does come with some, you know, pre-made ships. If you want to play with those and just jump right into it, it will give you some pre-construction stuff. Or you can just make a fully customizable ship, where you are snapping a bunch of different things together and giving yourself different abilities. And that's one of the cool things, is like all of the parts that you would snap on your ship in the game version then have a card associated with it, and that card gets you different abilities, you know, different movements, different battle abilities, different fighting strengths or defense strengths, different things like that. So you have all of these cards in front of you that represent your ship, and then you are just moving around the board fighting the other people, and you are literally destroying parts of their ship, and then pieces come off, and you know, all that sort of stuff. So it's just a tactical combat game, but with the centerpiece of these really cool toy ships. And you know, you can, when you pull off like your opponent's pieces, you can leave them scattered across the playing board, so it just looks like this destruction in space, which I think is really fun. So, you know, versus is the main way to play it, where you are fighting. You could do it 2-on-2 or 1v1, but then there is also a co-op and a solo mode with AI cards in it as well. So there are multiple ways to play the game, Snapship Tactics. So yeah, if you want a big toy factor in your game, check it out. It's definitely a medium weight game. Funko Games is releasing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Slaughterhouse. Now, last month, Trick or Treat Studios released to retail the Texas Chainsaw Massacre board game. And so you have 2 options now for Texas Chainsaw games. The Trick or Treat Studios one is a fully cooperative game, whereas this one from Funko is a one versus many game. One person plays as the murderous family, plays as all of the bad guys, and everybody else is working together to escape. And it is pretty brutal. Like, you know, I think you definitely want to, you have to like sort of, you know, scarier things, horror movies and stuff like that, because, you know, both of these games are a very grisly theme, and I think they do a good job with the theme. So in this version, Slaughterhouse, most of the players are moving around the board. They're searching through decks of cards, and they're looking for gas and keys and things like that. And then they can move outside, and they're looking for a working vehicle to escape. Whereas the person who is playing the bad guys is attacking them and then also trying to level up sort of the bad guy meter, like the fear meter, and then that brings more and more characters onto the board. So you don't start with Leatherface on the board. You start with just like the lesser characters, if you will, and then you're trying to raise the fear and bring all the bad guys out to help you kill the people. You don't. But I do like that they say, they're like, in this game there are no winners, only survivors. So if you like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I mean, we're coming up on Halloween right now, so we're looking for these types of games. I do think this is a good game, and one I've actually never seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre because I don't like scary movies. It's too much for me. They're too much for me, and I have nightmares, and so. This is one where I'm like, ooh, I felt creeped out just playing the game, and it definitely made me not want to watch the movie. So I feel like they did a pretty good job with the theme, even though I haven't actually seen the movie. So check it out. We're coming up on Halloween. Gray Fox Games is releasing Bazaars of Ubar. This is a 2 to 4 player game, plays in 45 to 75 minutes. And this is another polyomino tile laying game, but does it in a interesting, unique way, because you will be putting things into your ship, and those things are like lamps and rugs and things like that. And you are the same thing with polyominoes, where you are trying to squeeze the stuff in and figure out the best way to put things in. But the thing that makes this game interesting is you are also drafting these tiles, and then you are building a grid of tiles next to your ship, and those tiles are going to give you special abilities and things to do. And one of the cool things is that, you know, like, okay, this tile might let you switch out a lamp for a rug or something like that. But then the tiles will go, okay, when I take this tile, I can put it here, and then it will also activate the tile underneath it that I've put in the grid. Or it'll activate the 2 tiles next to it. And so there's a real interesting mechanism about how to build your grid of non-polyomino tiles. You know, you have these sort of special ability tiles, and then the polyomino tiles that you are trying to fit into the ship. And so there's, you know, it's like a double puzzly game, which I think sounds pretty interesting to me. And so yeah, and then you know, because of that grid that you are putting stuff into, that area that you are building out, there's a real engine building aspect to it, because you're like, oh, I can put this here, I'm firing this, I'm firing this, I'm firing that. All of this stuff is getting me different special abilities, and I do like the double puzzle aspect of it, you know? Now we need a game to come out with a triple puzzle. You've raised the bar, Gray Fox Games. Hachette and Randolph are releasing the card game Romi Rami. This plays 2 to 4 players in 30 minutes, and it is a lightweight card game. And this is a game that feels like a classic card game. You know, this feels like a 52 deck of cards type of card game. This feels like a game I would have played with my grandfather or something like that. But it has enough sort of modern twist that it also feels like a modern game. I think they did a good job, like kind of, making it feel like this bridge between classic card games and modern games. It is a rummy style card game where you're playing pairs or triples or runs, and then you're doing that to achieve these objective cards. In the end, you want to take these objective cards, and those are what's going to score you a lot of your points at the end of the game. So, I can play these 2 ones and these 4 cards in a row, and then that gets me that objective card. And so it plays quickly. Every turn is quickly. When you are drafting cards from the market, you're either taking the things of a certain suit or things of a certain number. And so you're just you're getting cards and playing cards, and it moves quick and it feels like a classic card game, but I really like it. Small box game. This is one I'm probably going to bring home to the holidays because my sister really loves card games, and so I'll be like, hey, this will please you and me at the same time. Feels like a classic card game, but still a modern game. Incredible Dream Studios is releasing the game Kinfire Chronicles Nightsfall to retail here in September. This is a 1 to 4 player game, plays in 45 to 60 minutes, and is a medium weight game. It is a game with a real narrative element to it. There is a story aspect to the game, so that's the thing that's going to set this apart from a lot of games. And I know that Incredible Dream is very big on building worlds for the games that they are doing. So this is like an introduction to a whole new world, and there will be more games that come out at some point that really support this world. And so there's going to be a lore aspect to it too. So if you want to get immersed in a world, then check out Nightsfall. It is a cooperative game, and it blends thrilling fantasy adventure with tactical edge of your seat combat. So you are one of 6 unique seekers, and each of them has some asymmetric abilities, and you're sworn to protect the city of Din Lux and help rebuild the world beyond. And so you'll be moving around, you'll be exploring, adventuring, you'll be fighting different stuff that comes up. One of the things that's cool about the cooperative aspect of the game is other players can play cards on your turn to boost you. And so there really is you're not just waiting for your turn to happen. You are actively invested in your teammates' turns because you want to play your cards to help boost their actions, to make sure you get successes, to make sure that you're pushing the story forward in the way that you want to. And so I like a game, I like a cooperative game where it legitimately feels cooperative and you're not just sort of each doing your own turn and then not really invested in what the other person does. So again, if you want some storytelling or if you want a good cooperative game, then check out Nightsfall from Incredible Dream Studios. So, and they do say, it is replayable. It's not like just you can play it through it once, because there's different choices you can make and different NPCs that you're going to see and that sort of stuff. So you can keep playing it. Jason Anarchy Games is releasing the game Cheese Factory. Jason Anarchy Games, I think, also does a good job of making very accessible, lightweight games that have a lot of whimsy and humor in them. If you play with people that, maybe don't take things that seriously or that sort of stuff, I think you would like Cheese Factory. It is certainly a lightweight game. 2 to 4 players plays in 20 to 30 minutes, but it has a really fun engine building aspect to it. Like, this is a type of game, if I was trying to introduce somebody to engine building, I think Cheese Factory would be a good option for introducing somebody new to games to engine building. Because what you are doing, you are getting ingredients and then using those ingredients to create cheeses. And the cheeses are going to score you points. But you can also get these cheese machines, and all of these machines are going to get you special abilities. And so there's that engine building aspect of like, oh, I'm going to get this, which then makes this cheaper, which is going to help me get this, which is going to help me get that. And it does all of that in 20 minutes. And so, again, still plays very quickly. There is some take that to the game. You can start cheese fires and you can burn up other people's factories and stuff like that. But again, the game plays super quick, so it's not like I'm like, darn you, this ruined everything for the next hour. No, you if someone screws you over, you can just play again and screw them right back. You know? So, yeah, and he's always, you know, the game has silly art and silly names and stuff like that in it as well. So it's a very lighthearted game. Kess is releasing the party game Murder We Wrote, and this is a Barnes & Noble exclusive, so if you're interested in getting it, it is only in Barnes & Noble. It is a 3 to 8 player game and a party game, so very lightweight. But there is a sort of improv-y performative aspect to the game. One person plays as the host of the podcast. You reveal the name of the victim for that round, and then other players assume the role of someone close to the victim, and they play cards and they give interviews on who they think murdered the victim and how. So that's what I mean. There's like an improv-y aspect where you are giving an interview and revealing clues, and then at the end of the round, the host has to decide what was the true ending. But each player has a hidden twist card that can change everything. And so if you like a silly, if you like true crime podcasts, right, this is sort of hitting that same theme. And I don't know that we've seen a lot of that in board games. And true crime podcasts are obviously crazy popular these days, and makes me very nervous to date certain people. Oh, really? You watch true crime stuff all the time about murders? That's the most of anything you consume? That doesn't make me nervous at all. So again, Murder We Wrote in Barnes & Noble. North Star Games is releasing Eila and Something Shiny. This is a solo game, though with any solo game, you can also play it cooperatively with another person. You're just going to be making choices together. And this is another very rich story game. This is all about the narrative. It's a choose-your-own-adventure sort of a game. Plays 30 to 45 minutes, and it is a medium-weight game. But basically what you are doing, you are going to be solving puzzles, managing resources, overcoming challenges, and the story is told over 5 chapters. So you are going to be playing through this and making different choices and seeing what happens. Now, you can, it is a one storyline thing, but you can go back and replay it because you can make different decisions and see how that affects the storyline if you want. It's a game. One thing to note is it has some fairly adorable artwork in it, but they do note that the story explores some mature themes, such as loss, so it might not be the thing for like young children, even though it has some sort of cute artwork on it. But yeah, if you want like a choose your own solo story adventure game, then check out Eila and Something Shiny. Pandasaurus Games is releasing Sea Salt and Paper. This is a small box card game, so if you're looking for a very small box game, Sea Salt and Paper is a good option. Plays 2 to 4 players in 30 to 45 minutes and is a lighter weight card game. And the thing that makes this game different, it does the thing where you're playing cards and different cards are going to have different special abilities and they're getting to get you advantages, and that's all decently standard. But what the game does interesting is you can either choose to stop the round when you think you have the most points, or you can push your luck and you can basically give other people one more turn and you're basically saying, I think I'm still going to have the most points, even if everybody else takes another turn. And then if that happens, if you do have the most points, you're going to get a benefit and they're going to get you know, a punishment, a bad thing. And so, you know, you can end the round at any point when you think you have the most points. And so that's what adds a little bit more tension to the card game of like, oh, when's it going to end? Oh, we never know when the round's going to end. And it's got really pretty artwork of this cool origami and stuff like that. You know, it doesn't have a huge theme to it. It's mostly just playing cards, but the artwork is this really cool looking origami. And so that gives it a little bit of a unique feel to it for sure. So if you like little card games, check out Sea Salt and Paper. Pandasaurus is also releasing the game Emerge. This is a dice placement game with one of the longest boards I've ever seen in board gaming. It's not crazy wide, but it is just this long, thin board, so make sure you have a long table to play it on. But one of the cool things about it, it's a dice placement game, but you're not rolling your dice and adding them to a central board like a lot of dice placement games. You have your own individual research board, and you are placing dice down on that. And everybody starts by having the same research board, but throughout the game you can modify your own board and change what you are researching. And so there's a customization to each of your boards with your dice placement and things like that. And the other cool thing is you are literally growing these islands out on the board. You're putting a small piece down, then you can grow it to a bigger piece and an even bigger piece, and then you'll be adding these trees and birds and things like that out there. And that's all just based on sort of what you're researching, and all those things can get you points in different ways. So by the end of the game, it looks really cool on the table because you've got all these sort of three-dimensional islands with trees and seals and things like that on them all over the board. And I love the color scheme of the game too. It just looks really cool. I love the art style here, and I love dice placement in general. So this is one I am excited to check out. So yeah, check out Emerge from Pandasaurus Games. Pink Tiger Games is releasing the game Cloud9. This is another Barnes & Noble exclusive, so if you were interested in checking out Cloud9, go to Barnes & Noble. Pink Tiger is very good at making games that are really positive. You know, there's no attacking each other. It's more about celebrating what makes us happy and creating conversation moments and things like that. And Cloud9 is the same type of a game in their line of games where it really focuses on positivity. In Cloud9, you are drafting cards from this cloud area, and it's all the things that make you the happiest, you know? Are you really happy are you happy with new socks? Are you happy with high fives? So what makes you the most happy? This is about drafting cards and creating your own grid of the things that make you the happiest. And there are questions in there that, you know, help. Why does this make you happy? You know, if you want to get to know your friends better, if you want to know what inspires your friends or what fills them with joy, Cloud9 is a good option because it really is about talking about why that stuff makes you happy. Is a sunny day make you happy, or does the wind through the trees make you happy? You know, that sort of thing. And so again, it's all about, it's not really as much about who wins the game as it is about the experience of playing it and getting to know the people better that you are playing the game with. There are cards in the game that, you know, add a little bit of strategy where you can reverse play or skip turns or things like that, wild cards in there. But, you know, it's mostly just about having those conversations about the things that fill you with joy. So check out Cloud9 in Barnes & Noble from Pink Tiger Games. R&R Games is releasing the party game Secret Identity. This plays 3 to 8 players, 20 to 40 minutes, and it is a lightweight party game. In the game, there will be a number of people or characters out on the board, and then each player gets assigned to one of those characters. So, you know, are you Shrek? Are you Ted Lasso? Are you Julia Roberts? And then you are playing these cards to give clues about who you are, but they're always like picto cards. And so, you know, if I was doing Julie Roberts, maybe I might have like a star, or maybe I might have, a kiss or something like that, because she was in romantic comedies. Like, it's all just these sort of, you know, not very detailed picto cards, and you are trying to get people to guess who your character is, which character has been assigned to you, using those cards. And you can do the thing where you go, these two are good, I'm putting these down on like a green check mark, and this is not like that, I'm putting this down on a red thing, so you know that this is not me. I am not, you know, this is I'm putting the mustache down here because I'm not Ted Lasso, you know, that sort of thing. So if you like, you know, and it's one of those games for sure that you're like, after you reveal who you are, you want to talk about it, because you're like, oh, I thought you were trying to say this, and they're like, no, I was trying to say this, and you're like, I see what you were going for. Interesting. Okay, we both interpreted that in different ways. So, you know, creates a little bit of a conversation there, and I like that about party games. Skybound Tabletop is releasing the party game Kiss the Goblin. This plays 2 to 8 players in 15 to 60 minutes. And this is a great game to introduce people to RPG style concepts, or even I guess a game if someone wants to do an RPG type of thing but not play like a big full RPG. This is like a silly fun card game with some ideas from the world of RPGs, because you're going to get a secret alignment, and that alignment is like, are you good, are you evil, are you neutral, are you chaotic, are you lawful, you know, those different types of alignments. A situation is going to come up and you have an alignment, and you basically have to improv and describe your reaction to that situation. How would you handle this situation based on the alignment that you have, you know? So if you're lawful good, you're going to handle that situation way differently than if you're chaotic evil. And so, you know, it's, and you can have everything in between. And so then everybody else is just trying to guess which alignment you were trying to represent, and you'll score points for people getting it right and stuff like that. So again, if you know, a lot of people, RPGs, if they haven't played a lot of RPGs, you can go, oh, this is a core concept from RPGs of like what type of a character you're playing. Well, here's a 15-minute game where you can sort of get used to those concepts. And so I think it's a good game for that reason, for sure, and just a fun, silly party game where you get to, you know, I like party games that allow you to bring in your own creativity, and there's no right answer to this. You can describe your reaction to the situation any way you want, so you get to, you get to make it up on the spot. And so I like party games that allow me to sort of bring in my sense of humor and my creativity in that way. And Kiss the Goblin for sure does that. Stonemaier Games is releasing Expeditions to retail this month. So this is the long-awaited sequel to Scythe. It's been getting a lot of attention over the last few months, and I'm sure a lot of you already pre-ordered it and stuff. But now it is going to be available in a more mass way right now. You can get it at friendly local game stores and things like that. So it is it's called Expeditions because you are doing some exploring. There is a tile system, and you are moving around, flipping over the tiles, exploring. You can do different things, different actions on different tiles, and that keeps the game replayable, right? Because it is a modular board. It's not going to be the same every time you play it, and I like that about it. And you are, there's a lot of different ways to score points, a lot of valid stuff, but you have different worker abilities, you're playing cards to gain powers, you're moving your mech around to various locations and gaining cards found amongst the tiles. It's one I played at Gamma Expo in the spring and really, really liked, but I only had a chance to play it the once, so I'm very excited to play it more. And it's a little bit shorter and a little bit more accessible than Scythe. You know, this plays in like 90 minutes, so it plays quicker than Scythe, and it's medium weight, and so I think you can introduce more players to this, and so I'm very excited about it for that reason. Expedition's a really good sequel to Scythe. The Op is releasing Express Route. There aren't too many cooperative pickup and deliver games, and that is what Express Route is. So if you like the pickup and deliver mechanism and you want it to be cooperative, this is a good one for you. Plays 1 to 4 players in 60 minutes. And so the theme of it is it's part of the mail order revolution where ultra-modern shipping technology is in your hands. So you are just trying to deliver packages and stuff all over. There's a board with a big map on it, and so you are, the consumer demand is going to be increasing, and so you have to work together to meet that demand throughout the game. You coordinate team actions, use your specialist abilities to expedite vehicles, making deliveries to eager home shoppers. So, you know, Amazon Prime, the board game, is kind of what it is. It's everybody's ordering from home now, and you gotta figure it out. So, again, pick up and deliver cooperative game. Trick or Treat Studios is releasing the game Halloween. This is based on the horror movie from the 1970s, Halloween, with Michael Myers in it with the white face mask, and this is a game version of that. Plays 2 to 4 players in 30 to 60 minutes, and this is specifically based on the first movie. There have been a lot of movies in the franchise, but this game is based on the first movie. And so it is a one versus many game where one player plays as Michael Myers and the other players are playing as people trying to survive. You are moving around the board, searching through the house for useful items. You're trying to get the kids. You're trying to get the keys to escape. And Michael Myers has a hidden movement aspect to him. He's moving around. You don't know where he is. You only find out where he is where one player stops their turn in direct line of sight of Michael Myers, and then he reveals himself. So if you don't have eyes on him, he could be anywhere. And so that's one of the things that makes it exciting, right? The players can win by killing, Michael Myers can win by killing enough characters or preventing the players from escaping for long enough, while as the players win if they can escape. If they can find all of the right things and get out of there alive, they will win. And so, another game here ready for Halloween. We're getting into spooky season now, so I hope you're ready, because there are a lot of great games. I feel like there's more games specifically for spooky season than any other time of year, any special event. And so there's every year I'm like, ooh, these are the games I want to play during October. And so this one might add to the list, WizKids is releasing Star Trek Discovery Black Alert. This is a team-based game. 2 to 4 players, plays in 60 minutes, and is medium weight. But it is, you can play it one-on-one, but it's really meant to be a 2v2 game where players are dividing into teams, and each team represents key members of either the USS Discovery or the ISS Charon. ISS. I put too many S's in there. But you're not fighting each other. Instead, you are trying to complete missions. Whichever team can complete more missions and do them more successfully is going to win the game. So you are, flying around in your spaceship, activating locations on your ship, navigating across the board, and completing missions. So if you like Star Trek, this is a good one in the Star Trek world. And there's a few Star Trek games, but it's a popular IP. We can't have enough Star Trek games. So there you go. That was, I believe, 28 of the best games hitting retail here in September. We are in the month of September right now. So thanks as always for checking out these videos. Please share and like and subscribe and all that sort of stuff. I put a lot of work into these. It takes me so much time to make these, with talking to all of the different publishers and researching all the games and learning enough about them to talk about it and stuff. But I like doing it because I like people helping find stuff that they can go out and get easily and immediately. If you want to support me, you can always check out my Patreon, or I've got t-shirts now too with like a meeple with my mustache and glasses. It's pretty fun. I'll put a link to that sort of stuff in the description. But I hope you found something you're excited about. A lot of great games coming out these days. All right, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex.